Hi, Bidemi. Good morning. Good to see you again. Good to have you on Pari Pasu.
Good afternoon, Ola. Good afternoon from Nigeria over here. Thank you for having me.
Good, good. Been many years of friendship. I'm glad we're doing
Yeah,
this right now,
yeah.
especially because of what you're doing within the criminal justice system in Nigeria. Each time I remember those particular instances, what you're doing within the prisons, I just think about you and my heart blesses you. I just imagine the changing faces of Nigerian prisons.
Thank
it
you, Ola.
it will never have been possible if you had not taken this initiative. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for the great work you're doing.
thank you, thank you,
Okay,
thank you.
so let me take you back to many years back when we were in accounting class somewhere in Africa, in Nigeria. I used to attend that accounting class, and sometimes when I just get bored in class, I just leave the class and I head back to my room. How was the case with you? Did you enjoy accounting class, or were you someone
No,
like
no,
me?
no, no, no. I didn't at all. I didn't at all. Anyway, I got into accounting out of the fact that my dad filled the jam form for me, so he actually picked the course he wanted, and I went to study the course. But thankfully, well, I graduated.
Yeah, it worked out. Same story for
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Back at home is always a story of either you're an accountant, a doctor, or engineer, or something like that. But well,
yeah.
it all worked out. Thank God. So let me quickly ask you this question: how long were you in banking?
Okay, I was in banking for, say, 15 years,
Wow,
thereabout, yes.
that's a whole of an experience, and I'm
Mm.
sure it's paying off for what you're doing right now because I know the banking industry in Nigeria is one of the most regulated systems, and I have a
Oh,
couple of
yes.
friends in banking in Nigeria that they know their onions. As a matter of fact, most people who immigrate to this part of the world, they're the people that pick up jobs almost instantly because the people here know that the banking industry back in Nigeria or Africa as a whole is a very regulated system, right?
Very much. Very, very much.
Tell me a little about your experience in banking.
Oh, well, it was actually very interesting. And at times I felt it was quite rigorous, but thankfully now I think everything I went through was only getting me ready for the anchor heritage. So it was a corporate environment that I'll tell you sincerely, it's a place where you need to learn and understand how things are being done. And that really helped me. And because okay, my banking experience was also quite eventful because at the start of it, just my second year in banking, I had a CBN award then, and it
Oh,
really helped me to change units, and I was able to go to another unit, learn what was done there. So I basically worked in the operations and the corporate audits units of the bank, and it really helped me at the end of the day, and it's also helping us in Anchor Heritage Initiative right now.
yeah. So from banking to being an entrepreneur, running a non-governmental association, how was that switch? No, let me just go straight to the point, so that you can, talk to me about these two parts of the question. How was that switch one? And then when was the first time you ever thought about Anchor Heritage? Did you think about it when you're in banking, or it just came somewhere after?
Well, the switch wasn't that easy, really, because leaving paid employment to um, something, an initiative, more so a non-government, a not-for-profit organization. It wasn't actually an easy decision, but it's something I had to just hit out and start it just as I was being the initiative hits me up in the eyes, and in my mind I'm always like, we have to do something about this. And really it's not that I just stumbled on this assignment. It's majorly because my my fiancée then, some years back, who happens to be my wife now, she actually served in the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria office. And one of my visits to her while she was serving in Makurdi, Benue State, precisely, I witnessed an event, and that event never left me for very many years. So I witnessed an event where someone was actually on a trip from Makurdi to Abuja, and he entered the wrong bus, and somehow he was actually in a bus with some wrong set of people, and he got arrested. And so, the memories of it lingered in my mind for so long until recent times while I was down, like, wow. So there are many people actually behind the bars suffering for what they really don't know, and suffering for just an act of the fact that they don't have the resources to get some legal representation and then leave the prison. And so I was like, okay, maybe we should start an initiative around this. And that was actually what gave rise to the Anchor Heritage Initiative.
Wow. That's such a sad story. I can imagine how many more stories you can tell right now,
Oh, yes, many more.
Yeah. Well, and so I guess the passion grew. And then so far, how has the experience been so far from implementation, maybe as far back from our earlier discussion, you started, hitting the ground running around 2017. How has it been so far?
Yes, it's been wonderful. Yes, at the start of it, it wasn't that easy. Settling in to get approvals, settling in to go into a sector where, it's security conscious. It's not just anywhere that you can just access. The prisons are a place that the security there is quite high, and everybody needs to be careful and be mindful of what is going on around them. So the major challenges we had at the startup was getting the approvals, and because nobody knows Anchor Heritage at that time, and so your intentions may not be well known and clearly defined. It just comes as, okay, we are incorporated and we want to start this assignment. So, but lines upon lines, we were able to get the approvals, start relationships, and today we thank God because so many things have been achieved. We've been able to do our workshops in almost 7 prisons across the Southwest and the North Central region of Nigeria. We've trained over 870 inmates presently.
Wow.
We would have done more than that before we had a break because of the global pandemic. Our legal aid also have been able to do a release of like 88 inmates so far.
Wow, that's amazing.
And our aftercare initiative is also running on almost like 19 inmates, ex-inmates enjoying our aftercare initiative. And we're still channeled in doing more. Presently, the COVID relief, we also did some things by making sure an inmate have a mask to wear. And so we're still committed to doing more of this, and it's solely about the welfare of inmates that we are just trying to hit at. So from 2017 to date, it's been quite challenging. It's been quite eventful, and we just believe years to come we will still be doing much more for these inmates so that the narratives can change.
Wow. That's a whole lot. Well, even though it's been challenging, I understand the terrain comes with some of these challenges, but you've had a lot of successes too. I've read some of the good stories. I've seen some videos that were done by other media houses. I must let you know that you're doing a great job. I know I'm not on ground there with you, but I know it's challenging, but it's been a lot of work, and the picture of the prisons, with some of the statistics you just reeled out right now is amazing. You're doing a great job, Bidemi.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about the criminal justice system in Africa, with particular reference to Nigeria. Can you give me tell me what a chain of activities are from, say, when a crime is committed and a suspect is apprehended to the release of an inmate.
Oh, okay. The way it works actually is from the point of arrest or from the point of picking up a suspected defendant. The person is taken to the police station for interrogation. Now, normally he should not stay beyond 24 hours in the police station. And in cases where we have an approval from a superior officer, 48 hours, 36 to 48 hours, he should have been charged to court. The person complaining about the defendant that, okay, this is what actually happened. So at the point of the court, if the person is found to either be guilty or there is still pending investigation, he's remanded in the prisons. And so when he
for
goes
all
into
kinds
the prison,
of crimes.
Okay, so not all kinds of crime, but the moment is pending investigation, further investigations, he's just been put in the correctional center, and then we call them the ATM. They are awaiting the trial. So pending while they are awaiting the trial, they will be in the custody. I think further in the session, I'll be able to talk about the custodial and the non-custodial so you understand.
Okay,
so, but
okay.
They will be in the custody of the correctional centers. And so they will be provided in the court on the day of trial, because trial will be done. Trial is a situation where the complainant's lawyer and the defendant's lawyer both appear in the court and make case and try and explain the defendant's claims, either guilty or not guilty. The judge or the magistrate in question tries to look through every intricacy of the case and then make decisions. So at times the defendants could end up being discharged, and at times he could be sentenced, depending on the crime and the sentence actually should go for that.
Okay.
Yes.
So I also want you to tell me about, anyway, we'll talk about it when we get to the custodial and the non-custodial. But what I really want to get out from the last question is, are there cases, for instance, when, that's why I was asking, what category, are there cases where some people get bail from when they were arrested by the police and the police, and they can appear in court later?
Oh, well, if they get bailed from the police, they could appear in the court later. But if there is already a bail from the police, then that means there will be a bail shortee that someone will stand in. So if the police actually feels there should be a comeback to the police station for the pending case, then they will reappear. At times, the police will tell them, okay, report here 2 days time in the morning, report here 3 days time, report here 4 days time, and then so that they could end the case. So yes, they could be bailed from the police station, and then it will not end up in the courts because there could have been a way around it right there from the police station. But for cases where probably there are many sides to it and it feels like the police could not end up the investigation and it needs the court of law to step in, then at that point, the person will be charged to the court, especially in cases where probably the crime being committed has to be decided by the state prosecution.
What would you say is the number one challenge of the justice system in Nigeria?
Well, the number one challenge I feel is the delay in trying these cases. The delay we have in getting the cases being trialed, the number of inmates awaiting trial at the moment are quite high. And so if they are being tried, I think of recent, like some 3 weeks ago, the president himself issued a new directive that criminal cases should actually be done in 12 months span. I would think we sent that out even on our page. So if that could be achieved really, then it would actually help prison decongestion, because they would not stay too long in the prisons before their cases are being tried. So that's
Yeah.
one major thing I think we need to address so that the awaiting trials will be reduced, and then it will actually help our prisons to be decongested.
Can you tell me a bit about what the numbers are in prisons right now? Those in prisons are waiting trial, or
Okay, so presently we should have an estimated figure of like 75,000 plus across the prisons, and we should have like 65% thereabouts awaiting trial. This is general
that's
figure in all the prisons. So
wow.
the number of waiting trials are actually high at the moment. And so that is actually the chunk of what is causing the congestion.
Wow. Wow. Anyway, it's not a problem that is peculiar to Nigeria. From all of my research, I've seen this, especially for instance, in North America, in the US, for instance, it's probably also crazier. Anyway, let's go further into this administration, the Nigerian administration's prison reforms of 2019. Uh, what was the state of the Nigerian prisons before these prison reforms, and now? I'm thinking there would be too much difference anyway.
Okay, well, the new correctional bill was actually signed August 2019, last year. It's just a year away from it, and we have a new. Actually, also we have quite a new minister for internal affairs that is overseeing the affairs of the prison, the immigration, civil defense, and all that. The correctional service bill that has been signed. There's actually some activities going around it, but we can't just give it in that we are already far away from where we used to be. But efforts are being made to make sure that the fact that we want this to be a correctional center is being put to play. And so the inmates should also understand that you're coming here is for the idea of this is supposed to be here is supposed to be a correctional center. It's that the idea of it being actually a prison is trying to be eroded. But we believe with time, the message will actually be well passed. And that is why NGOs are also coming up. And that's why Anchor Heritage is also trying to ensure that we use empowerment as a correctional tool. So we empower them as a correctional tool so that at the end of the day, when they are corrected and they have a skill at their hands, by the time they are out of these correctional centers, they will have something to get back to. And so that's what the bill is also trying to enforce. And efforts are being made to ensure that the narratives actually change from the prison idea to correctional center. And so of recent, again, new skills are being launched prison-wide, nationwide, bakery initiatives by the minister himself, so that these people will tend to learn, and when they learn, they can be better people when they come out of the prisons. We won't get there in one day, but
Yeah.
gradual steps.
Yeah, at least we're taking the right steps in the right direction, which is long overdue, trying to
Yes.
move from the punitive criminal justice system to a reformative, justice system, just as the whole world is moving to. I think the government got that one right here, right? So can you, talk to me about what are the major highlights in that 2019 reform?
Okay, major highlights are the fact that when the prison gets filled to capacity, there shouldn't be admission of new entrants.
Excellent.
Yeah. Also, it's broken down the services of the Nigerian Correctional Center into the custodial and the non-custodial. The bill also specifies that the service will be directed by the CG and 8 DCGs in assistance to him. That's the body will be the Nigerian Correctional Service. There will be a CG and 8 DCGs alongside with him working. It also puts into the fact that we need to do more of empowerment, skills empowerment for those people, so that when they come back into the society, they are corrected. So more of using correctional tools this time around, and not seeing it as the fact that they've gone into the prisons. So those are part of the major highlights that the new correctional service bill. It also encourages that while they are in the correctional centers, they can get to involve in skills, so that when they involve in these skills, educational learning, when they are back into the society, they get useful. So those are part of the new highlights for the correctional service bill that was signed August last year by the president.
So can you give me a little more detail, shed a little more light into, I'm really interested in knowing what the custodial systems will look like, or looks like now, if there's been the change already, and the non-custodial.
Okay.
In my head, I'm thinking, so I used to be very close to, some leadership in the prisons at some point. Is it, of course, the name change also. One of the major highlights of the reform is the change from the Nigerian Prison Service to
Yes,
Nigeria
to the Nigerian Correctional Service.
Correctional Service. So the custodial and the non-custodial, is it still under the Nigerian Correctional Service or a different body?
Yes, the custodial is still, the custodial and non-custodial still remains under the Nigerian Correctional Service. The non-custodial, the whole Nigerian Correctional Service is being headed by a CG. And
Okay.
so the non-custodial is being headed by a DCG. So the custodial aspect is the fact that this is inmates that are actually in the custody of the correctional centers. They are there, they probably, when they were reprimanded from the court, they are supposed to go and remain in custody because they've not met the bail conditions. It's not compulsory that they are actually convicted criminals. They may not have met their bail conditions. They may not have, the cases may still be under investigation. So they are supposed to remain in custody. And part of what the bill says, the new bill says, is that for those in custody, they should be in humane conditions and they should be well treated. And, the acts of self-dignity should be put into consideration. The non-custodial are the ones that really probably they still have issues to sort out, but it is not compulsory. They come back into the custody. So from court, probably they're already on bail, so they can go away. For those ones that are probably under the classes of community service, punishment, they are non-custodial. So there will just be a little tie to them, that something that would actually make them come back for the community service. For those on parole is also under the non-custodial. For the cases that are being discharged for option of fine, and they are not supposed to go into incarceration. For those kind of cases, they are just the non-custodial. So it is not compulsory they go under the custody and be in prison, in the correctional center, sorry. But so that's the idea of the custodial and the non-custodial. So it's just basically the custodial, they are in the custody of the officers of the Nigerian Correctional Service, while the non-custodial, they have a tie. They still have to come to the court of law. They still have to meet up some things, but they are not actually in incarceration.
Okay.
So they are not in custody, non-custodial.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little more about Anchor Heritage. What's a typical day like for you?
Oh, well.
A typical day of activities,
It actually depends. We get to the office, we plan our days, especially, so majorly we just plan around activities that are coming up that we're planning for the prisons. So a Monday is always like a strategy day for us. What are we planning? Updates on what we did last week, checking up how we can get better. and strategizing for the weeks ahead. Our Tuesday is actually our visitation day. That's the day we go into the prisons. We go into the prisons for counseling. We go with a mind therapist. We go with a counselor. We go with a lawyer for our legal aid. So that's the day we go into the prisons to listen to the cases of those incarcerated guys that actually cannot afford legal representation. That's the day we try and catch up and counsel, just let them know that, okay, you're not totally abandoned here. So that's what we do on like a Tuesday. And so when we spread out our operation out of Lagos, we had to reduce our weekly visits to every fortnight. So when we started operations in prisons outside Lagos. So that's what we do basically on a Tuesday. Our Wednesdays are actually to reach out to ex-inmates that have left. We follow up, we do visits on what they're doing. Thursday is actually like, okay, so we just basically try and reach out to sponsors that can help us, partner with us, because what we're doing, we need partners, we need collaborators to make this work. Our idea at Anchor Heritage is actually that if we leave those people and just feel they are in the prisons, they have stipulated times that they are supposed to spend. Either for those awaiting trials, they will still be released, even for those that are actually convicted. They have a jail term to stay and they will still come back into the society. And if they are not taken care of, then they come back to be a menace. So we just try and let organizations, corporate organizations, high net worth individuals that can just help charity that, okay, let's try and do this thing, empower these people. So that's how our Thursday is always like. We try and reach out for sponsorship, for collaborators, for support on these assignments, so that when the inmates come back into the society, they are empowered and they are better off.
Yeah, talking about empowerment, tell me about the project of painting the prison walls. It's an amazing project. I love what I'm seeing on the internet, on your website, and all around.
Thank you.
Tell me about that project, yeah.
Okay, so the idea of the painting is it was invented from the fact that, okay, so we saw the walls of the prisons are actually looking dirty. And so we liken it in every empowerment workshop that we've done. We've done our empowerment workshop across 7 prisons. And what we always tell the inmates that are in our classes, look at how dirty these walls are. And you will see what the outcome will be. So we liken it to their lives. And we'll make them understand, no matter how dirty it is, no matter how filthy you think your life is, no matter how rejected, look at the walls. They don't seem fine. They don't even seem like what you want to lean on. But at the end of the day, with your own hands, you produce the paints, because we teach them. Our workshop takes 7 to 10 days in every correctional center that we go. So we teach them how to make the paint. Really? And so they make it themselves, and we make a practical session of them producing the paint themselves. We break them into groups, they produce the paint, then they use the paint themselves, because we also have a 1 roller, 1 inmate initiative. So we want every person that was part of that workshop to at least have 1 roller, which is like a souvenir we use in all these parties we go to. So we give them a souvenir so that when they leave the prisons, they have that 1 roller and they can remember. So they paint the walls themselves. And the idea is that when they paint these walls, they see how beautiful it comes out. And so we tell them that with their hands and a determination, a deliberate act of their own mind, they can still reform their lives. And so we are so conversant with the 3 R's that the government is really hitting at: the reformation, rehabilitation, and reintegration. So when they paint the walls, we show them this was how the walls were before, and these are the new walls. And the walls are always painted by themselves. And so it makes us tell them, okay, so there can still be hope for a better you. if you just see these walls and you see how it was designed. So that is, and it also helped us to have some kind of uniformity across the prisons that we've touched so far. We still intend going round, but because of the global pandemic, we needed to stop. But the moment everything is opened up back, we will definitely continue the empowerment workshop. So that's the idea for the painting, and also to beautify the prisons, even though it's not a place that anybody wants to be, but just to have a beautiful face of it around, and paints beautify things.
Yeah. So tell me about some of the good stories, some of the success stories you've had.
Okay, so success stories for, are you talking about
For inmates particularly. I know I've read some of the touching stories. You've sent some of the touching stories to me. I've read on your website.
Yes.
But tell me one of the stories, you know.
Okay, so on that line, I can even quickly mention our new initiative, our new project that we launched, the WWW,
Go
the
for
three
it.
big W's. We call it the What Went Wrong series, which we post out from AHI, Anchor Heritage, every Wednesday, because we want people to know that, okay, not all inmates are criminals, and some things just happened part-time, out of mistake, out of having the wrong friends, out of being at the wrong place at the wrong time, out of things that you really didn't know could crystallize into landing in the prison. And so we just try to rule that out. Quickly, if I actually need to start talking about stories here, I may not stop easily, but one story that I always remember is there is an ex-inmate that calls himself the firstborn of Anchor Heritage. All he did was borrow money because he wanted to leave the shores of Nigeria to Dubai, and he actually was a professional chef. He borrowed 250,000 naira, and inability to return it made it seem like it was all a fraud, and it landed him in the prison. And he was there for 2 years, 8 months, thereabout, for 250,000 naira.
Wow.
And thankfully, with our legal aid, he was released. When he was released, he started a little shawarma business from our aftercare initiative. He was doing that before he got a job offer in a printing press.
Wow.
And he was actually offered to manage the printing press and with an accommodation. Right now, he's doing very well. For the little printing works we do for every empowerment workshop, he's always there to do it almost at a no fee, very much discounted. So he calls himself the firstborn of Anchor Heritage. He's doing very well, and we have other inmates like that have come out, and actually they've been corrected, because they tell us when we go to Kirikiri, the inmates tell us is either you're corrected or you are stupid forever. If you leave this place, then come again. Then you really can't be wise again. So we have many other success stories which people can read up on our website, on WWW, on our Instagram page. I think I'll stop with that. Just one that story.
Cool. James, let me just ask this. I think I have two more questions in mind, but this might be the second to the last one. You talked about the 3 hours initiative of the federal government, and I want to pick on the last one, reintegration. On a scale of maybe 1 to 10, how would you say, I'm talking about stigmatization of those who are ex-convicts now. How hard has it been, or how easy is it integrating back into the society without being stigmatized? I already had a good story from the last story that you talked about, that I don't know if it's a challenge or it's just okay.
Sincerely, the stigmatization aspect is something, it's tough. It's not easy. So I received an email from one ex-inmate that was released by the Anchor Heritage Legal Aid last week. And I read the mail and I couldn't reply, but just call the guy on a video call so that he would see me and he can feel me. And, he says he can't even come out of his house because everybody around him, the guy is back in Jos, though he was released from Lagos, but he went back to his family in Jos. And really, it's just one of those stories. I would say not all inmates are criminals, out of his folly mistakes. So he was just telling me he can't even come out because everybody around him just says, oh, that prisoner guy. And he was just like feeling so bad that he even wants to leave the whole environment. So it's that bad, even ordinarily, even in times like this that we are in, when you hear that someone just came back from isolation center for COVID, people want to stay away, talk less of prisons. But what I always tell them is that the antidote to this stigmatization is success.
Yeah, that's good.
The moment they can be successful and useful to themselves, everybody loves success.
Yeah.
So everybody will hug you and forget the past that you were in the prison once. So you just get useful to yourself and then useful to the society. You will find out that people will forget the history. But the truth of the matter, it's deeper when they come out of the prisons and they don't have something doing, and so they are more stigmatized. But the moment they get useful, and that is the point where we don't want to miss out, so that they don't get a vacuum of wanting to go back to the prison, going back to crime, and from crime land back in the prison. Because the stigmatization further pushes them away from the society, and then they will find out the only people that can accept them back is that criminal clique. But we want to get them empowered. We want them to be useful so that when they are useful and they are better off, really, when they are doing good, that is our own ideology. And the truth of the matter is that it's been tested and trusted, because we've had ex-inmates that are actually enjoying the aftercare initiative. And even in cases where their families say, oh, no, we don't want to have anything to do with you, you find out now, because they are successful, because they are doing something, because they actually seem much corrected now, and they are living for a purpose, you find out people will forget the past.
Wow. So how's the support been so far?
Actually, it's deep.
Okay.
It's deep. I need to tell you that.
Wow. That's a sad story. So how's the support been so far? You're doing something that is almost entirely new. Well, I remember maybe the Prisons Fellowship, they do some things, but what you're doing is totally new for a not-for-profit in Nigeria, in Africa. What's the support been like so far, funding and all?
Well, the support has been, we actually would intend to have more support to do this so that we can reach out to more inmates, more correctional centers. I was talking to someone last week that on our pending list of the aftercare initiative, we have 13 ex-inmates with wonderful ideas, which we just need probably per person $400 to $500 to set them up. We have like 13 and we're still trying to get funds. But thankfully, so far with what we've done, the empowerment workshops we've done, we have a sponsor, a partner who has really helped in the empowerment workshop series. And we have individuals who also support. We have also people that make the shirts we wear too. So we have actually a little bit of support from organizations and individuals around, but we definitely will need more support to be able to run these assignments more, to be able to reach out to more centers, to be able to empower more with different skills that come up in our minds, and to be able to even help these inmates when they come back into the society.
Wow. It's been a great time talking to you, Bidemi Oladipupo. Thank you so much for joining me on Pari Passu. I can feel your passion from here, thousands and thousands of miles over the seas. I just wish a lot more people will, support you and even join the cause of what you're doing, for the prisons and the criminal justice system in Nigeria, in Africa as a whole, to be a better place. Thank you so much one more time for joining me.
Thank you very much, Ola, for having us on Pari Passu. It's actually a privilege. Thank you very much. I was honored when you told me you would love to hear from us over here in Nigeria, and you would like to have us on Pari Passu. And Anchor Heritage, the board of directors of Anchor Heritage, we're very grateful for this opportunity. And anytime you actually want to have us on board again, we are always very ready to talk about this. Our passion is to find that the narratives change.
Yeah.
Little intentional steps we take deliberately. We just believe at the end of the day, we will have a useful society. So at Anchor Heritage, it's all about the welfare of the inmates, and so a change of the narratives. And so we say a very great thank you. For more details, people want to reach out or know what we do. Our Instagram handle is at Anchor Heritage Initiative. Our website is at www.anchorheritage.com. And thankfully, even our website was designed by someone in Calgary, Canada.
Oh, really?
And it's been hosted by him, and he did everything for us free of charge. And he's been hosting that for the past 3 years.
Wow. That's Canada for you. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah. We actually would love more support coming in to do the work that we want to do. I say thank you very much, Ola, for having us on this platform. God bless you.
Thank you, Bidemi. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.